Police and protesters are still out in full force tonight in downtown LA for the 2-month anniversary of the Occupy movement.
I'm Matt Leland. Coming up on ATVN, I'll show you how hundreds of CSU faculty members are fighting against what they feel are unfair wages and unfair budget cuts.
And the Vatican is fighting back today against photoshopped images of the Pope. Don't go anywhere. Annenberg TV News is next.
You're watching USC's first source for news, Annenberg TV News.
Hundreds of protesters remain in the streets of downtown tonight in support of the Occupy Wall Street movement. The Occupy LA protest is still going on tonight, even after police have arrested more than 26 people. Good evening, I'm Lauren Furness.
And I'm Rhiannon Trutanich. The protests started marching almost 12 hours and are still in the streets of downtown. Despite the arrest, the protests remain peaceful. ATVN's Elise Perlmutter followed the march as it moved through downtown LA.
Which means to break up this assembly. If you do not do so, you may be arrested or subject to other police action.
Occupy LA and union protesters set up tents in the middle of Figueroa in downtown Los Angeles this morning, hoping to get arrested for their cause.
I'm willing to get arrested. We have to be able to show them that the average people in America want to take back this country. For the 99% of us, we want good jobs. We want the 1% to pay their fair share.
Police were out in full force, holding batons and wearing riot gear, but the protests remained mostly peaceful.
We're not for violence. We're for the right thing, which is pay your fair share.
The police arrested 23 people during the morning rally. Protesters saw this as a way to get their message out.
Our members are willing to get arrested to stand for what we believe in.
After the first protest, many of the Occupy LA protesters regrouped at their City Hall encampment. They began planning a 24-hour vigil against police brutality. An unauthorized midday march from City Hall to the Bank District led to a tense standoff, but only 3 more arrests.
The individuals that were arrested stopped in the street unlawfully and blocked traffic and refused to leave.
Police just watched while the protesters quickly set up tents outside of Bank of America and Wells Fargo.
We're not immune to what's going on out in the communities, and so we are real people, and we're trying to do it to address, those issues and those problems, and we're trying to make a difference, quite frankly.
Police let them stay on the plaza for about 3 hours before clearing them out. Elise Perlmutter, ATVN.
The Occupy LA movement plans to create a fund to bail out protesters. ATVN's Jenna Bernard takes a look at some of the money matters of the Occupy movement.
Only 2 hours after this morning's demonstration, the Occupy LA movement raised more than $500 to bail out their fellow protesters.
We need to pitch in as a community, as a group, as activists to help each other out in time of need. And when you're in jail, that's a great time that you're in need.
But the money they raised is only enough to cover the cost of bailing out one person. And at least 26 people have been arrested today.
It's kind of tricky because once you bail someone out, you're admitting that they've kind of done something wrong.
Occupy LA has been very successful in raising money and organizing their finances to pay for the cost of the 2-month-long encampment.
Everything has been totally transparent and clear. The Finances Committee is working on procedure constantly. We're trying to be as candid and as open as possible.
Here at Occupy LA, they've gathered almost $40,000 in contributions to pay for their expenses. But when police force is used like this morning, taxpayer money is still spent. The LAPD said it could not disclose how much the Occupy LA movement is costing the city. But protesters think that any money that has been spent is the least of the taxpayers' worries.
I think taxpayers' money are more widely wasted in all these wars that are unnecessary and these tax cuts for corporate welfare.
The protesters say they will continue raising money to keep their message and movement going. Jenna Bernard, ATVN.
While protests in Los Angeles were peaceful, Occupy Wall Street activists in New York rallied to show the world that the movement is not over. Over 1,000 protesters gathered near the New York Stock Exchange, where police made over 175 arrests this morning. Police officers were injured when one protester sprayed them with a stinging liquid. Demonstrators also gathered at Zuccotti Park, the unofficial Occupy headquarters police broke up earlier this week. And demonstrators in Portland also recognized the 2-month anniversary of the Occupy movement. Things were more peaceful than New York, but police made arrests. Police shut down a bridge this morning and arrested protesters who refused to move. The rally continued this afternoon when a group of protesters were arrested at a Wells Fargo in downtown Portland. None of the demonstrators seemed to be resisting arrest. As the Occupy movement continues to grow, one expert talks about what makes a movement successful.
So just breaking through that barrier of silence is the main thing that movements do. And so for that, they've already succeeded.
Eliasov also said it is interesting to see what happens to the Occupy movement now that they are marching.
California State University faculty went on a one-day strike today at Cal State Dominguez Hills to protest budget cuts and tuition increases. ATVN's Matt Leland shows us why some teachers have had enough.
We teach the 99%!
The California Faculty Association embarked on a peaceful one-day strike today in objection to what they say is an unfair use of school funds.
We've done it by the book, and they still ignored us, so this is what happens when people get ignored.
CSU professors say the last straw was the Board of Trustees' decision to deny the faculty's request for a 1.3% salary increase, a raise that teachers say an independent panel argues is possible based on CSU's budget.
I haven't had a raise in 4 years. I have a PhD. I'm still paying off my student loans because I come from a working class family.
Many members of the CFA held up signs that read, "We are or we teach the 99%. The teachers I spoke with say that their cause is not that different from that of the Occupy protests.
I think that there's a deep sense of solidarity between the two movements, and there's a lot of overlap in terms of the two movements.
But unlike yesterday's Cal State student strike, today's demonstration was well secured and peaceful.
I haven't seen any altercations or any, tension or anything.
The president of CSU Dominguez Hills says the teachers' anger should be directed at the state, saying the one-day strike is another reminder of the devastating impact that reductions in state support have had on higher education. The 250-plus professors who took part in the demonstration plan to return to work tomorrow, but insist that the fight will resume in the spring if no progress is made. Matt Leland, ATVN.
Supporters of Proposition 8 can now defend the controversial ballot measure which bans same-sex marriage in California in court when state officials refuse to do so. The California Supreme Court's ruling will allow an appeal of the measure to move ahead in federal court. Religious and political organizations behind Prop 8 are celebrating the court's decision. The National Organization for Marriage said today, "It is gratifying to know that the over 7 million Californians who supported the initiative will have a vigorous defense of their decision in our federal courts." The original plaintiffs who took their Prop 8 lawsuit to the Supreme Court say they are not shaken by the court's ruling. Instead, they see it as an opportunity for future change.
Disappointed as we are in the California Supreme Court's decision, we're very excited about it, and we see it as not lemon but a lemonade. The majority does not have the right to take away rights from a minority. It's unconstitutional.
California Attorney General Kamala Harris responded to today's ruling, saying, "I firmly believe that Proposition 8 violates the equal protection and due process clauses of the U.S. Constitution, and I'm confident that justice will prevail." Both sides of the same-sex marriage argument agree the issue is headed to the Supreme Court, potentially in the next year.
Outrage over the Penn State scandal could lead to new federal legislation on reporting child abuse. California Senator Barbara Boxer is calling for a new law that would revoke federal aid from states that do not implement stricter laws on reporting. One expert in sex abuse reporting says promoting more widespread responsibility is the best way to improve current laws.
When we are dealing with children, and when there are minors on our college campuses,
we have a responsibility to protect them. And having a mandated reporter and making faculty members, administrators, staff, graduate students who are working with these students mandated reporters, I think that would be that is what should happen. That's how we should change our laws.
The new legislation would require individual states to set the penalties for people who neglect to report abuse. Los Angeles business owners should be on the lookout for a new scam. LA County DA Steve Cooley announced today that fake fire inspectors are tricking employees into signing documents used to bill business owners.
The firefighters that come out should be traveling in a government vehicle, either a fire engine or a fire inspection vehicle, depending on municipality. They would also have a fire department identification card, a photo ID that you can always request to ask to make sure they are there on official fire department business, and they would never be charging for those services. So if you have anyone doing anything other than that, that should be a red flag, and contact authorities immediately.
Real fire inspectors do conduct inspections but do not charge fees. Those who are suspicious of inspection activity are urged to contact the LA County Fire Department at 323-881-2411.
An Idaho man was in court today after allegedly shooting a gun at the White House. Police say the man fired 2 shots and cracked a window in the first family's living quarters. 21-year-old Oscar Ramiro Ortega Hernandez was charged with attempting to assassinate President Obama or members of his staff. Police arrested Hernandez after finding an abandoned car with the confirmed gun inside. And stocks fell today amidst anxiety over the European debt crisis. The Dow dropped by 135 points, closing at 11,771. The Nasdaq fell by 52 points, ending the day at 2,588.
The United Colors of Benetton clothing company is withdrawing its controversial ad campaign that depicts the Pope kissing an Egyptian leader after the Vatican threatened to take legal action. A Vatican spokesman called the Benetton campaign disrespectful and told lawyers to take necessary legal action to stop the ad. Benetton said its campaign fosters tolerance by featuring rival world leaders kissing. Among those featured are President Obama and Hugo Chavez.
Google is introducing a new music downloading program that might give iTunes some competition.
I'm Meryl Hawk here in Westwood at the UCLA Medical Center, where fashion designer Donna Karen will unveil a yoga program designed to ease the pain and anxiety of cancer patients. Coming up next on ATVN.
And we will hear from a student music producer known for his hip-hop and dubstep music. The dean of USC's Marshall School of Business identified last week's hit-and-run victim today as Othman Al-Othman. Al-Othman is an international student from Kuwait who is a senior majoring in business administration. Last Tuesday, he was hit by a van while riding his motorcycle on Vermont Avenue. Police are still looking for the driver and suspect. Dean James Ellis is encouraging students to send Al-Othman, who remains in critical condition, their support. In an email, he said, "Please keep Othman and his family in your thoughts as he continues to recover from his injuries. If you would like to send your well wishes to Othman, please feel free to bring your cards or letters to my office, and we will make sure to get them to Othman."
Paper or plastic? USC students and city officials are fighting together to ban both in Los Angeles. Members of USC CalPERG gathered today to raise awareness about the environmental costs of plastic bags. They say plastic bags do not just present a serious health threat to marine life, but also impact the environment.
However, since then, our movement has been strong. It's important to me because I know the dramatic impact on our landfills, on our streets, of the more than 2 billion plastic bags that we use every year as Angelinos.
I like to compare it to a seatbelt. When the seatbelt law was passed, not everyone put their seatbelt on. It was a law, but they had to train themselves and make it a habit to put it on. This is another one of those issues where we have to make it a habit to just not bring the bag and not deal with the bag, because we know that once we use it, it's gone and it becomes a terrible source of trash that's harming our environment.
USC CalPERG believes with enough support, a ban on plastic bags could take effect in the coming months.
A famous face in the fashion world is designing more than just clothes. ATVN's Meryl Hawk shows us the new cancer therapy program Donna Karen helped design.
Fashion designer Donna Karen unveiled Urban Zen, a therapy program she began after her husband died from lung cancer.
I've been a yogi since I'm 18 years old, and realized the modalities of healing, you know, tension and all the stuff that we live in our normal life. And how could we bring that into the medical system and into the educational system?
The UCLA Medical Center will be the first hospital to incorporate the program on the West Coast. It will provide yoga and meditation for cancer patients.
I'm a strong believer that what we witnessed today means less meds, less side effects, less time in the hospital, and faster healing.
The Urban Zen founders say the program introduces Eastern healing components, such as breath awareness, in-bed movement, and guided meditation. So if you were to take part in the program, one of your moves would go something like this.
From the day you're born to the day you die, really, these are the methodologies that really help you sustain a sense of balance and equanimity.
ATVN spoke with a traditional expert in cancer therapy. He said he was not able to comment on the benefits of the program without further evidence of its effectiveness. Karen says Urban Zen is all about taking care of the body and building a community of care.
But it's the care of the patient. I think that's what healthcare is truly all about, is caring for the patient and the loved ones.
Karen says she hopes Urban Zen will spread across the nation. Meryl Hawk, ATVN.
The U.S. Census Bureau released a report today saying that the number of people over 90 years old has tripled since 1980. Analysts say people are living longer due to advances in medicine and better nutritional habits. This was the first report the census has ever done on this age group.
Well, I like the colder weather. It feels like winter now, almost, for California.
Holiday spirit in the air. Very excited about that. Let's see what is in store for us for the weekend with our weather anchor, Marcos Diaz. Marcos?
Thanks, Lauren and Rhiannon. A clear day today. We got a little warm around noon, but things quickly cooled off, and we got a slight breeze in. So let's take it over to our current conditions. It's 59 degrees outside right now with clear skies and a slight breeze of 2 miles per hour. For tonight, we'll hit the low 50s, even 40s in some parts of LA. For tomorrow across the Southland, temperatures will cool a bit into the low 60s throughout the Southland. Expect gusty winds in some areas, especially out in Malibu and the Inland Empire, which should see wind gusts of 20 miles per hour. For our 5-day, partly cloudy all weekend, a little chilly on Sunday with a chance of scattered rains on Monday. For this week's Buzz Bands, I'm bringing you some wobbly hip-hop beats, courtesy of Daniel Ullman. Feel free to turn up the bass. When rappers or singers want somebody to make their beats, they call up this guy. USC junior Daniel Ullman is a hip-hop producer for the duo Highlight Productions.
I started producing about the end of high school. When I started getting my first sampler, my first MPC.
Ullman uses Logic Pro, a recording software used by top professional studios. Although he's hip-hop at heart, Ullman has recently been getting into dubstep, getting his influence from the UK duo Nero.
Man, honestly, just like seeing how people react to it at parties is just like a lot of fun. Like at first I hated dubstep, I would complain when my roommates played it and stuff, but the more I was exposed to it, the more I was just kind of like yeah, this stuff's kind of grimy.
You can find out more about Daniel Ullman and Highlight Productions, including a link to download a free mixtape online at atvn.org and click on Link Up. This was definitely one of my favorite musicians to interview. Almost everything he played was on the spot and impromptu. It's great.
I love that kind of music too. That was great.
I know, for sure. The really talented guy. To do it on the spot, I definitely could not do that at all. Well, thank you very much, Marcos.
Thank you.
And Google is joining the online music industry and stepping up its competition with iTunes and Amazon. The company unveiled its new music store yesterday at an Android event. Google Music will now allow musicians to sell directly to customers through the Android market. Before, they would only stream music and refer people to other MP3 stores. But a tech expert says this could fragment the industry for recording artists.
I think one of the challenges that artists have is, number one, the space is becoming even more fractured. So you have iTunes, Amazon, and Google, all with similar pay for, $1.99, 99 cents, and 69-cent models.
But Gonzalez says some artists are hoping it will boost their sales because their music will be available to purchase on more platforms. Well, I know there's another huge football game coming up this weekend. Super, super excited.
I think USC is going to win, but let's take it over to our sports anchor, Kate Rooney, to see what else is up.
Thanks, guys. Yes, the Trojans are braving the cold for what could be their biggest game of the season. We'll tell you what to expect. Plus, welcome back to ATVN. USC football wide receiver Robert Woods was still unable to practice today. But despite talk that injuries could keep him out of the game, Woods said he hopes he'll be ready to go against Oregon on Saturday.
I feel like I'm good enough, think a lot of people in playing this game right now are banged up, and they're playing through injuries, and I feel like I played through mine. But of course, Coach Kiffin has that final decision.
Before Coach Kiffin makes that decision, he's busy preparing his game plan to attack Oregon's defense. Today, Kiffin talked about what his squad needs to do to dash the Ducks' championship hopes.
Well, first, no turnovers. We got to take care of the football. Before we worry about the touchdowns, we got to worry about taking care of the ball. They do a great job of flying to it, getting the ball out, multiple blitz fronts, that give you some issues. So we got to take care of the football. And then when we get in the red zone, on third downs, we got to complete third downs. We got to score in the red zone, touchdowns, not field goals.
Kiffin's Trojans will need plenty of touchdowns to outscore the fourth-ranked Ducks and their mighty offense. SC will try for the upset this Saturday at 5 p.m. on ABC. And another huge matchup is happening across town. The men's water polo team is currently tied for first in the nation with UCLA. The Trojans head to Westwood tomorrow to try to earn solo bragging rights.
It's a huge game. It's going to be a big game. It's going to decide who's going to go as the top seed into the MPSF tournament, into the NCAA later on. And it's going to be a milestone for the rest of the season, for the postseason.
The Trojans are undefeated in conference play and looking to build on a 10-game win streak. The Bruins have won 9 in a row. USC men's basketball takes on the San Diego Aztecs down in San Diego tonight. The Trojans go in with a 1-1 record after 2 close games to begin the season. In their last outing Monday night, the Trojans fell to Nebraska in double overtime. Through 2 games, sophomore guard Maurice Jones leads SC in scoring with 17 points per game. Newcomers Dwayne Dedman and Aaron Fuller have been the team's best rebounders early on. Meanwhile, the women's basketball team is getting ready for its first trip of the season on the road to take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The women of Troy currently stand at 22 in the USA Today coaches poll, while Baylor, Notre Dame, Tennessee, and UConn top the list. The game time for USC tomorrow is 7:05 p.m. The women's volleyball squad will hold down the fort at the Galen Center this weekend after sweeping Oregon and Oregon State last week. The top-ranked women of Troy hope to hold off the Arizona teams at home. First, they'll face the Arizona State tomorrow at 7 p.m., then the Arizona Wildcats on Saturday at 7. Next week's season finale against UCLA is the day after Thanksgiving. In Major League Baseball, Dodgers starting pitcher Clayton Kershaw has officially won the National League Cy Young Award. Dodgers legend Tommy Lasorda took to Twitter to congratulate Kershaw. Lasorda tweeted, "I am so proud of you, Clayton. You make the Dodgers proud." The sale of the Houston Astros was finally completed today after months of waiting. Owners unanimously agreed to allow Jim Crane to buy the franchise. And even more changes are on the horizon around the majors. The owners also approved adding an additional wildcard team per league. Commissioner Bud Selig said he hopes the expanded playoffs can begin next year. And on the ice, 2 local teams are facing off for the second straight night. The LA Kings take on the Ducks at the Honda Center in Anaheim. Game time is 7 p.m. I wish I was going to be there to be watching.
Me too. A little ice would be kind of fun. Thanks,
Exactly.
Kate. Well, there may not be snow on the ground, but the holiday spirit is certainly in the air. Pershing Square's Downtown on Ice outdoor rink opened today for its 14th year. Underprivileged children from around Los Angeles were invited to the opening of the rink. For many, it was their first time ice skating. Olympic figure skater Tara Lipinski was there to hit the ice with the kids.
I'm excited.
It's a wonderful opportunity for the kids, especially coming from the inner city, who have never ever been to the snow.
It could be their first time ever skating, and you look back 10 years from now and they'll always remember that moment.
The event also featured performances by the LA Ice Theater Youth Ensemble and the It's Christmas Snoopy skating show from Knott's Berry Farm. Well, that was just too cute. Snoopy in a Santa suit. So cute.
Little kids, so cute.
I know. I wish when I have kids, I'm for sure going to take them to something like that.
Oh, it seems fun.
Good way to start the holiday.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, for everyone here at ATVN, I'm Lauren Furness. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Rhiannon Chertanich. You can watch us on the web at atvn.org. Good night.